Hey, so here we are waiting to get unloaded. I got here 2 hours early from my appointment. No big deal. I got all night. I'm not going anywhere. So I thought maybe what I would do is give you another little tidbit of one of my experiences while out on the road. So this particular story took place in Coachella, California area. There's a Love's over there. I had to pick up a load in that general vicinity, and I was carrying it back to Denver, Colorado. I pulled into the Love's truck stop, and if you've ever been there, it's kind of a tight squeeze. When you pull into the Love's, you have several bays, and then you have the building off to the right, and then just to the left of the fuel island, you have, for the big trucks, you have the scale, the little cat scale. Anyway, so I pull in, and it was kind of a tight squeeze because all the fuel bays had like too deep of trucks, and I had to kind of maneuver in and maneuver around the curb and move around the trucks to get into the scale. As I was maneuvering, there was a guy walking from the truck area across the scale to the fuel islands. I waited for him to get across, and then I pulled onto the cat scale. It was the middle of the night, as always. No fuel, no parking available. I pull around, go to the fuel island, pull into the fuel island. At this point, it had cleared up quite a bit, and I pulled into the fuel island. I pulled all the way through so that somebody could get fuel behind me. And as I walked towards the building, there was that same guy was standing by the door on the outside. And he goes, "Wow, that's some fancy maneuvering you had." And I said, "Well, it's just truck driving." And I went to go maneuver past him so that I could go into the building. I had my hand on the door, and I was starting to pull it forward, and he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Oh boy, are you going to ask me for money?" And he goes, "Why's it got to be like that?" And I said, "Because normally when somebody's standing outside of the truck stop building, they're asking for money, and you are trying too hard to be very nice to get on my good side." And he says, "I've got $20 to my name, I've got a BMW, and I've got to get to Los Angeles." And I said, "Well, Los Angeles is literally like 70-80 miles down the road. If that $20 can't get you to Los Angeles, you've got a problem. And it's not because you don't have any money, it's because your car sucks on fuel mileage. Wait until morning, go to the Chevy dealer, trade in your Mercedes, and get a Chevy. Something a little bit more fuel economic. Then you can use the money that you get left over from the trade-off, because I'm sure you're going to get money back for the deal. I can use that money for fuel." And he says, oh man. And I said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. I don't have time for this right now." So I go inside the building. I go and I get my scale ticket, and I said, as I'm paying for my scale ticket, I said, "Just so you know, there's a guy, skinny guy, standing outside the door asking for money." And she goes, "Him again? He's been here all evening. We keep trying to run him off, and he's constantly coming back." I went to go to the bathroom, get my coffee, get a couple little snacks, because it was going to be another all-nighter for me. So back in those days, I was driving an International Eagle. It had over 1 million miles on it. It was the best truck I ever drove in all my driving. I didn't like people knowing that I was a solo female driver out there on the road. So I had it set up to where when you open the door, the light does not come on. You can't do it in this truck. I can't figure out how to do it. But on that truck, I was able to do that. I open the door, and I climb in the truck. And I happen to see there's like a driveway at the end of the building off to my right that I guess connects the truck parking from the regular car parking area. And what do you see that's sitting there? Freaking a freaking Mercedes, right? Just parked right there with its parking lights on, right? And I was like, I happened to look and I saw, and I was like, oh crap. Man, I have to put up with this guy. I knew exactly who it was. For whatever reason, it just was like a ding light bulb going off in my head. I was just like, oh man, I gotta deal with this guy. So, and I was like, well, as soon as I start my truck, the lights are gonna come. I'm gonna have to turn the lights on. I'm gonna have to start. It's gonna be obvious here in a minute that I'm in the truck. And so I was like, all right, let's just face the music. So I start the truck up. I turn the lights on. I'm getting ready to go, and out comes that guy, and he parks right smack in front of my tractor. I'm here, and he comes and he parks nose to nose with my tractor, right? And he comes running out, and he comes jumps on my door. He's like right here, and he's banging on the door. So I cracked my window a little bit, and I'm like, what do you want? I don't have any money for you. And he's like, you didn't have to tell them that I was out there, blah, 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 blah. And I guess he thought he was going to try to intimidate me, you know. So I started reaching up, and I'm blowing the air horn, honk, 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 honk. And I'm like looking around for something to throw at him. I had my hot coffee, and I was like, man, I don't want to have to I was going to throw my hot coffee at him through the window. And I was like, man, I don't want to have to go in and get another dang cup of coffee. And I said, if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to run over your BMW, and then you're going to be really hurting for money. I put the truck in gear, and I released the brakes, and I start inching forward. Well, that made a move. And he went and jumped down, and he went and got in his car and drove away. And I was expecting to see him on the highway giving me a hard time, but that was it. That was the last I saw of him. But I was like blowing my air horn, and like nobody was like looking in their windows. It was like all of a sudden the fuel island was empty, and I'm the only one there, and nobody's there to help me. Anyway, that's my story from Coachella, California. Never talk to the vagrant. That's my crazy beggar story.